I'm Dustin Baker. I'm a small business owner, SBA lending professional, and a strong believer in the power of entrepreneurialism to bring the best out in our communities. 2020 was tough, but I believe we're resilient. So I'm traveling the country, talking to small businesses and the SBA lenders who help them succeed in order to prove it. We're on a mission to build community through shared story. No airports for me. This is my chariot. The road is calling. We're gonna do some fun stuff, and you really need to come watch it because it's gonna be amazing and all the cool kids are doing it. So join me on the SBA Roadshow.
This has been up here. People hadn't known what the hell this was. And that sign's been up there for 5 years. And nobody knew what the hell it was. But you know, we got our Prohibition Craft Spirits bar. Most people call it either Pro Bar or Prohibition Bar. People come in through here and we have...
starts here?
Yeah, and you know, it's kind of unique coming in. This is... I gotta find out what they did. Somebody took my little sign, but this is, you know, recognize this corner?
I'm not a Louisville guy, so I don't. No.
That is Bardstown Road.
Okay.
That is Highland. But this is just all from, this is like out here.
Oh my goodness.
This used to be, yeah, that was our bar right there.
Wow.
That Baxter Avenue drugs.
Boy.
But that was Baxter Avenue back in the 30s in the flood. This is the front of our building, our bar out there in 1890.
Wow. This building's got some history to it.
Well, it's that one over there. This one was built like in the probably 70s or 80s.
Okay.
But that building over there was built probably in 1880 something, 1879.
Some ghosts running around in here.
There are. We call him Bob. What I like, this is our bootlegger guy. This is actually my master distiller's first real still that he distilled on. Homemade out of a keg.
Just out of his garage?
Yep. So that sunbuck still works. He'll use it every once in a while for...
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, this is really cool.
So, but you can get a good view of the...
This is great.
Distillery up here. There's 4 barrels on each one of those shelves. All
Smells
full of
so
bourbon.
good in here.
There is speakeasy right here. I'm actually removing all this. We'll have a little bitty bar. These cabinets are gonna go, and there'll be a little bitty bar there, and then I'll probably have a table that we play poker at or whatever, and then in there we'll have a little lounge area.
We're about to introduce you to Keith Hazelbaker, who has a pretty interesting story of how he came to be the owner of this business.
I am Keith Hazelbaker. I am the president and founder of Prohibition Craft Spirits and PCS Distilling Company in Louisville, Kentucky.
Thanks for joining us. I've been really excited to hear your story ever since Christian sent me the photograph of your warehouse room and those barrels floor to ceiling. It's a really cool space, but how did you wind up in it? Because I feel like a lot of times people go and they find a business idea, but it sounds more like this business may have kind of found you.
That's exactly what happened. Well, I'm an independent certified financial planner and here in Louisville, and I actually practice all over the country, but I met these 2 gentlemen back in 2015 through my oldest son, and they seemed to be nice guys and just seemed to be like some country boys that kind of got in over their head. And I was going to make this into a private equity investment. They had run out of money supposedly, and the money we were going to raise about $500,000 to finish out the build out on this place, and then, you know, turn it into a public company. Hopefully, I was trying to do my due diligence and get everything ready to go in front of the SEC, and I kept finding all these problems, and turned out one of the guys was not who he said he was. He had stolen his partner's identity, and it was just a big con job. But I had already my son and I went all over the country looking at craft distilleries back in 2015. We came back and I decided I think I could do it with the help of my boys and some of my other friends to make what I was going to have those other guys do it myself. My son and I came up with Prohibition Craft Spirits, and at the time when the guys before us was called Derby City Spirits, and when that guy blew up, that name I thought was trash, and so we
not a brand you wanted to continue to
and plus I didn't own that brand, so it was kind of good to start fresh.
How has kind of being a small business owner that's this close to the operation of your business, like what does that mean for you in terms of the kind of people that you think are more interested in what you're doing? I mean, is there a place in this community that you think a business like this that you're running holds that maybe a big distillery wouldn't have for people?
Being part of this community, and I believe in buy local. I mean, we're Kentucky Proud facility here, and that's a big deal to us being a Kentucky Proud facility because we source all of our grains and everything here in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And we're using this limestone water here in Kentucky that makes all alcohol better. We get a better harvest on our mash than most people do because of that, I think. I look forward to being a big part of this community going forward.
Yeah. And tell me about the SBA loan. Let's talk about that in detail for a minute. So what did that give you an opportunity to do maybe that would not have been possible without that structure?
Well, it gave me the ability to quit renting this place and own it.
Okay.
I bought this building and my payment for the place is 75% of what the rent was.
Oh, wow.
And I own it.
Did you guys benefit from the CARES Act in terms of the P&I payments too?
Yeah,
you got
we
PPP funds.
We did PPP, and on my SBA loans, they made my installment loan for construction. They paid principal and interest on my installment loan.
Oh wow! On the one you already had.
Yeah, I already had an SBA loan, and then I had a line of credit that was SBA, and they would pay my interest on that during a few months.
It's a nice little
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
I guarantee you none of my private lenders did that crap. They didn't do that at all. Having the ability to have the SBA, they've been a part of this since the beginning.
This is it's really fun to hear your story, and I appreciate you spending time to tell it to us. Yeah.
It's my pleasure.
And I think we need to raise a glass.
Amen.
My name's Doug Watts. I'm the CEO of the Metalworking Group. We're going to need some safety glasses. Is that all right? If you wear those?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I was picturing myself in a hard hat. I just didn't know. How big is your facility here?
So we have about 80,000 square feet here, and we've got about another 100,000 square feet in Fairfield, Ohio, just north of here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this building's been here since the 50s. Gil Richards started Richards Industries making valves in the 70s, I believe. He bought some manufacturing companies and relocated them all over here in 1990.
How long did you work here before?
I've been here 30 years.
Really?
So I started here in 91, so about a year after they moved out here.
And you were the CFO before?
I was.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the process of the acquisition of the business and kind of what allowed for that.
Yeah, so that whole process, it was very, very difficult. It was hard to find a structure that worked. What was hard for me is I'd never gone through this before. I don't know how this deal's going to get structured, but they came to me and they said, look, I think we have a pathway for this to work. And that's when really they connected me up with Greg and the SBA. And at that point, there was hope. You know, I could kind of see a path to making this work.
I've got some truck bumpers that need attention after the first 1,500 miles of my trip. I might just put them in the line here.
We call those government projects. We get those government projects like every now and then. Somebody will come and say, "Hey, I've got this vent in my house. I need to have it. I need to have it painted."
That's funny. So explain to me why a facility like this is critical for our economy and why we hear about it so often from the politicians.
Yes. You know, a lot of people say, you know, manufacturing's in decline, manufacturing is dead. And I think from a very, very broad macro sense, manufacturing has struggled. You know, I think if you look at the numbers, they're probably losing employment over the decade. But there are still pockets of companies out there that if you find the right niche and you find the right customers, there is a huge need for domestic manufacturing.
Well, let's see some more of what's going on in here.
These are lasers. So we're bringing in sheets of metal here. We're profiling, and you can see, I think those parts are profiled out over there.
Okay.
And this starts our production process. So these are probably the most expensive pieces of equipment that we have here. And through kind of our relationship with the bank, you know, as I'm buying this business, to compete domestically in the United States against offshore companies, we are constantly having to monitor, manage, and improve our efficiencies, and we focus on that every day.
I feel like I'm on an episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood right now, and it's making me really happy.
And this is a bigger assembly, and you can see a lot more welding on this. So these are all components that have gotten welded in here. So this is something where, you know, we probably have 6 or 7 different jobs. We'll have a job for this piece here. You've got the main unit itself. You've got all these flanges here that get welded in. That's an all separate part. There might be a right and a left here. This is a perfect example of a part where trying to bring this in overseas would be very, very difficult, just based on how much air there is, how much space there is. A lot of companies, you know, it's tough right now, you know, to grow a manufacturing business, but we are committed to doing that.
We're pulling out of the parking lot of the Metalworking Group in Cincinnati. And wow, what an inspiration to talk to Doug Watts, the CEO. He bought the business the year before COVID hit, and they have held steady through that, and they provide a lot of jobs and life to this community. And he was just really a delight to talk to. And also, it was kind of like an episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, getting to walk through the factory and watch them build stuff, which was super cool. This season on the SBA Roadshow.
Yeah.